I'm Bradley Thomas, and this is the Art of Changing Your Life Coaching, and we're talking today about how to find your purpose. And my guest today is Deb Battersby, and if you're tired of coming in second place and ready to win, I've got some great news. Deb is here to help you do just that. Deb is a woman who is a leader and a coach and helps people to stop competing and start winning. Hey, welcome, Deb. How are you?
I'm doing great, Bradley.
Thanks so much for being here. And the whole reason I put this together is I want to help people find their purpose. And I'm interviewing a lot of people and getting different backgrounds and letting them tell their story so other people can see how other successful people have found their purpose and how they can go about turning their purpose into a business. So if it's all right with you, I kind of wanted to jump right in. And if you can kind of tell people your story and kind of describe your purpose, we'll start from there.
Sounds like a plan. As far as my story, I got involved in real estate sales when I was in my mid to late 20s, and I never really thought about being in sales. I actually went to school to become a teacher, and I've always been really passionate about learning, and if I learn something, I can't wait to share it with somebody else, because I think there is so much power in what you can learn to make things better and easier and just a greater experience all the way around. And so I actually discovered that I liked sales. I had no idea that was going to be the case, but it's really, I think what I really discovered is not so much that I like sales, but I realized that sales is a process of education. It's a process of teaching people what options are available, giving them insight on how to actually compare those options so that they can make really good decisions. So I really thrived in that business. And one of the things that if you've ever been in sales, and most of your listeners can relate to this, is that sales is one of those fields where you are constantly stretching yourself. You're constantly learning. I remember when I got into real estate, I didn't have any money to work with, so every time there was a free training program, I was there. And fortunately, at that time, there was tons of it available, and I got introduced to people like Jim Rohn and people like Tommy Hopkins and people like Zig Ziglar, and I saw many of those people live, and and when I could afford to, would always buy their programs, and whether it was a Bob Proctor or and a lot of experts in the field of real estate as well. So I loved being coached. I loved learning, and I loved being coached. I figured out that there's got to be a better way to do whatever it is I'm doing, and to learn from the people who've already figured it out and have done it consistently, successfully, that every time I could make one tiny little distinction that was going to give me another edge, it was going to serve me. And so I really went headlong into the path of personal growth and development. From a very selfish perspective, I just wanted to be really good at what I did. And that was the beginning of recognizing how much I love coaching, how much I love training, how much I love teaching. And that kind of happened by accident too. Do you know what I mean? It just, you start down one path and things emerge, and before you know it, you've stepped onto another path, and you didn't ever plan it. That was never the plan. But I got involved in real estate in so many different capacities. As a speaker for, local real estate boards and conventions, I got involved in an organization called the Women's Council of Realtors, and I became very active in the professional organization and took that path of leadership, which really was volunteerism, and gosh, I spent many, many years entrenched in that organization, learning and growing every step of the way, and actually eventually became the national president of that organization.
Wow.
And so, and in that process, I got introduced to, I was at a training program like I'm always at, uh, to, just the beginnings of NLP and how do you use that to help, not to manipulate, because a lot of people misinterpret the value of NLP. It's about to really understand how people think, how they communicate, what's their preferred style. Do they need a presentation visually? Are they much more auditorially based? Are they way more kinesthetic where they have to get involved in the physical process of doing things? And I found that fascinating. So that led to, one of my colleagues and mentors at the time said, well, if you're interested in NLP, then, oh my gosh, you have to go see Tony Robbins. Okay, I'll go see Tony Robbins. And it was my first Tony Robbins event, which was quite a long time ago. It's actually in 1988. The fascination with his level of passion and enthusiasm and expertise in creating shifts in hundreds and thousands of people at a time. And I was totally hooked. And so I've spent many, many years studying with him. Again, mostly just to grow and improve myself. I didn't ever anticipate that I would, go into the coaching and consulting world. But it's kind of funny you ask about finding your purpose. I have a feeling that most of us who find ourselves in coaching and consulting have been coaching since we were in preschool. You're the one that everybody comes to and goes, that they're having a hard day and they need to sort something out, or they can't figure something out and they just want your perspective on things. And, so when you talk about finding your purpose, I really believe that most of us have been and are on purpose all the time to a degree.
Yeah.
We're always doing what we are naturally inclined to do, what our real gift is. And, whether it's, you're the one who, when everything's a mess, you step in and organize, then part of your purpose is to organize. If you're the one who nobody can make a decision and somebody's got to take the lead and it's always you, then part of your purpose is to lead. If you're the one who's got to, things are in turmoil and there's a problem right in front of you and, most people can't step outside of it long enough to see clearly enough to solve it, then part of your purpose is to solve problems. So I realized that everything that I'd ever done, from sales and training and coaching and leadership, has always been about coaching and empowering people. Always. I had to kind of step forward and look back to finally connect the dots and say, oh yeah, that's the thread that runs consistently.
I was going to say that whenever the thing that keeps coming up for me, and I find is always a good piece of advice, which you're honing in really, really, really well. People should really take that. Is that if you're always giving advice to someone about something, or I like what you just said about if you're always going in and fixing something for someone or your friends or your family, and you're the go-to person, but you're not getting paid for it. Or maybe you are, but it's maybe doesn't feel like it's in line or something. That's a good sign that that's what your purpose is. Are there any other ways people can listen or take a look back in their life to see if there's what that common thread is?
Actually, there is. I kind of created a little worksheet around it, and it's something that actually emerged in a couple of my recent workshops, because I find that people get really stressed over figuring out what their purpose is. It's like, oh my God, if I get it wrong, I'm doomed. Or if I go down this path and I screw up, I'm stuck. And it's not true. Ultimately, I have a very simple approach to this. I believe that you're going to fulfill your purpose wherever you happen to take it. maybe you might think that the vehicle or the path you've chosen limits you, but it doesn't. It doesn't matter where you focus it. You're going to show up and deliver who you are at your best no matter what. And so the question that I always ask is, in that workshop, is what is the common thread in your life? What do you always do wherever you happen to show up? Are you the one that comes in and organizes the chairs in the church, for the church social? Are you the one who makes sure that everybody brings a dish to the potluck dinner? Are you the one who plans? My daughter, it's so funny, she has a skill that I would love to say I could claim. She can plan 100 years from now, and I'm lucky if I can plan a year, and that's a stretch. That's a real stretch. I am not an innate planner. I have to discipline myself to do that. But you put a problem in front of me in the moment, and it's like breathing to go, oh, well, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. Let's look at what the options are and what we think the consequences of that are going to be, and move on it. And so the question is, who are you always? How do you show up consistently in everything you do? In your work, in your play, in your relationships. You're the one who always does this, that piece of it. And whatever that piece is may be just the first glimpse of your thread. And you begin to follow that thread and you'll get some amazing insights. And then, so what does everybody turn to you for? That is another indication of where your purpose lies. There are some people that are just the most amazing comforters on the planet. If you're feeling sad, if something's going wrong, and you just need some reassurance, there are some people that are just caregivers. They are meant to play that role, to comfort, to soothe. There are some who are healers. Everything they do is about healing a situation, a conflict, an individual. So it's kind of like looking for those clues and have fun with it. So just answer a few questions. Why do you do what you do?
Yeah, I think I think finding that thread and asking all of those questions is something. The question that comes to my mind right now is, should someone expect to find it, right away? Like if they start writing it down, will it just come to them? Or, is something practical more maybe to keep a journal and a few questions in there and then just let things happen naturally?
It could happen either way. And my experience is, Bradley, for most people, it happens very fast. It's kind of like as soon as if I ask you, Brad, what does everybody come to you for? What's your answer?
Advice, and I'm usually offering a hand for things to help with computer stuff. I'm a geek. I'm a nerd. So photography stuff. Not the jungle yet, maybe. But yeah, when I really dug deep and was searching for my purpose, the common thread for me, no matter what I was doing, was reaching out and helping people. I was helping people in photography. I love teaching them computer stuff, technology. I love teaching people about how to fix it, or they come to me when it's broken. Unfortunately, but fortunately. And then, just that common thread was always helping people.
Right.
And I just I never thought about that common thread of like, oh, I like to actually sit down and coach people until this past year, almost a little over a year now, or has it been a year? Either way, I was able to sit down with someone just over pizza and a beer. And I just asked a few questions, and they were having a really rough time. The short story is the person got laid off from being an airline pilot, and that's how they identified themselves. But that's not who they really were. That's not their core. They couldn't do it anymore because they had cancer. But when I asked a few questions that just were natural for me to ask, he was able to flip his mindset. Oh, I don't have to identify myself as a pilot.
Right.
I'm X, and I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm this and I'm that, and I have many great ideas to do something with business, so I could do anything I want. And it was a big shift. It was a big shift for him. It was a big shift for me for realizing, oh, I just love helping people overcome obstacles in their life. And I like yourself, like if someone puts a problem in front of me, it's very natural for me to go, oh, well, you should just do this and this and this, and that solves the problem. Duh. Keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah, what's really great about it, as I'm listening to you, I would say I've picked up on something that I might share with you,
Hmm.
is that, the fact that you're able to help people with computers and, geeky stuff and photography is I have a feeling that you like to simplify things.
Hmm. Oh, yeah.
And so if I were to say, okay, yes, part of your purpose is to help people, and one of the ways you do that is you simplify the complex. Now, I could be wrong about that, but I have
Oh,
a
you're dead on. You're pretty
I,
good.
yeah, and one of the things I have to say, and I attribute so much of what I've learned to, working in the Robbins Leadership Program for 25 years now, and I have, I've learned that we are so much more than our what we think is our identity. We are so much more than our behaviors, and a hell of a lot more than what we do for a living. And you're right, we get stuck in a construct of an identity that says, you know what, I'm a pilot, I'm a mom, I can't do this, or I'm a CEO, I can't do this, or I don't have a college degree, I can't do this. All of those things, as soon as we put ourselves in a box, we begin to block our power and our potential. I like destroying limits. That is, if there's anything that I'm passionate about doing, and I think I love to defy limits. And, it's kind of funny. I joke around that, two of my highest values are irreverence and defiance. Because, and not that I'm ever irreverent toward anyone or anything, I just believe that everything is open to challenge and question. And so I have a degree of irreverence for doctrine or limitation or rules of any kind. And I believe that we were born to defy whatever barriers are put in front of us.
Yeah, I think I'm almost still stuck on what you said about simplifying me. That's not simplifying me, but the way I think, and that's actually something I've actually become more of a minimalist this year, and that's a common thread that I think I picked up on a while ago, but I didn't have it really clear, and so thank you for helping clear that up. I
It's
think I'm going to use that
powerful.
later. Yeah, it is really powerful.
I'm going to just suggest you use it in your marketing because, quite honestly, the biggest challenge most people have to change is is their perception of it being complicated.
Yeah, yeah, and I've done that. I do that really in the corporate world. I did it. That's how I try to approach everything. It's like, how can I take this big, giant, complex thing called the internet and make it simple so everybody else on my team or whatever I was working, whoever I was working with, other people in other parts of the company can use it without having to overthink it. I like the easy button. I want to press the easy button.
Me too. I
Yeah.
want a button for everything in life, and it's fascinating because I I believe I have a similar approach. It's to uncomplicate things. Sometimes you have to pull things out of the mix to find out what's really relevant and important. And I think that's one thing that that a coach can be invaluable as a resource, because most of the time we're so much in our problems and our challenges that we can't get that external perspective. And that's another, why is strategic change so critical to every corporation on the planet? It's critical to every organism on the planet, that you don't want to change just for the heck of it, because it could be just a lot of work unless you just want to do it for variety and the sake of, doing something different. But we all basically want change that's going to lead to improvement on some level. And so that's why it's strategic change, not just random change. And when it comes to human beings, I guess one of my fascinations is that we have an opportunity to do something really different when it comes to change. Systems, you can move a part or change a process, and the system is changed. Humans can actually do something, or maybe living organisms can do something beyond that. They can actually transcend change and transform. That the power of the subconscious to create radical and simple at the same time transformation is what really turns me on, because change can be hard. It can be, my friend Joseph, it's one of those up at dawn, pride swallowing sieges to constantly bring yourself to the next level. And yet there are things that, like you said, talking with the pilot, that you were allowed him to find an emotional shift that opened up a whole new possibility. That's not just a shift in insight or awareness. It's a internal transformation. He's no longer limited as in the identity of a pilot and feeling that that his life is over because he can't do that anymore. But realizing that that was only a tiny piece of who he is and what he's capable of creates a transformative experience.
Yeah.
So I'm into transformation. If you can get transformation over change, I'm on board all day, every day.
Yeah, I see your bookshelf back there, and I don't know what the books are, but I'm pretty sure a lot of them are self-development books, because I've been a self-development junkie my whole life, and listening to books and reading the books, and it's just all about bettering yourself one little bit. I kind of have a mantra of like 1% a day is good enough, because at the end of the year, that's 365% better than you were the year before. So,
if you've ever read anything about Coach John Wooden, considered one of the most influential coaches in history, that for him, it was never about demanding massive improvement, just a 1% improvement in every one of your skills and you multiply that by an entire team and you become legendary. And that's exactly what he was able to do. And those are the kind of things that you realize, that if you commit to the development of your own potential incrementally, you are on a journey of just pure excitement. Because I really don't believe anybody has any clue what really true, what's the max human potential. I don't think anybody knows.
I don't know that either, but I think the latest I heard, Tony Robbins does like almost a triathlon a day or something like that.
You know what? It probably is. For certain cultures, that their lifestyles are equivalent to, completing a triathlon a day. But, I mean, as far as mind power, emotional power, physical power, I don't, and even if we get to the point where we might get close to physical capacity, the mind and the emotions and the subconscious have way more depth than that, than what we're capable of physically. And, just knowing that who you are is unlimited potential. That's who you are. Where you happen to be stuck in the moment is temporary, as long as you're willing to do something.
I think that's really powerful, and I wanted to kind of segue into the next part of. So if you've kind of identified that common thread in your life, and you know, you love helping people, or you love
You love
simplifying things.
you love beautifying things. You
Or-
love gardening. You love whatever you love. Uh, yeah, there's no limit. And by the way, you can have multiple threads, that
Yeah.
become a fabric.
Hmm.
You weave
Yeah.
those together, and you might get a pair of socks. Who knows?
I think that's the trick, and I think that's what the word that comes to mind is masters would do, is you know what all those common threads are in your life, the things that light you up, and you learn how to weave them into hopefully a business that you can just be yourself and help people, or whatever those threads kind of turn into be. So I wanted to kind of shift a little bit into business. Once you've kind of found your purpose, how does one go about, we could talk for, I mean, there's thousands of books and many hours just on business, but what are some good approaches once you've found that those common threads, and start to think about, okay, I want to go and start a business doing this?
Well, first of all, whatever your thread has been or your multiple threads have been, there are relationships that you've built along the way. And there are certain ways that you've served those people and those relationships during that time. And the first thing that I would recommend is go to your network. Go to the people who have come to you for those resources and that kind of support on a regular basis, and just begin and ask the question. You know, as you know, this is what I'm passionate about. I do this all day, every day. It's like breathing to me, and I have chosen to pursue this professionally. Who can you connect me with? What opportunities are you aware of? Who can I interview with? Who do you know that is in need of these kind of services? And I would go and have, these are the kind of conversations that are best had in person. You go and, like you said, it's pizza and a beer, or it's coffee and a quiche. I don't know.
Coffee and a key.
Yeah, coffee, pizza and beer doesn't matter, but you sit down and you spend a few minutes with people who already appreciate and respect you for what you're capable of doing, and enlist a few advocates. You've come out of the corporate arena yourself personally. I would be tapping into every single individual that I had a great relationship with, who knows what I'm really good at, and find out if they know of any department or any company that might be in need of a consultation, or in that area. Does that, so it's kind of like, go to your network first, and really invest in those relationships. And perhaps, here's something I hadn't even thought about until just now, but if, let's say, for example, there's a program that you want to roll out, bring together those people that you would consider your prime network, your A+ advocates. Bring them together and present your program to them. Give them the gift of whatever it is that you want to bring into the world as a business or a product or a program, and get their feedback and hopefully their blessing. And the other thing, that I'm going to share something with you that I think was the thing I learned in sales, was ask for the order, ask for the business. And most people find that really challenging to do, especially when they're going brand new into something that they may not be known for yet. But ask anyway. Ask for the business.
Yeah, I think that you have to ask for the sale. If you don't ask, you won't get it.
You won't get it. And you know what? Just because you ask doesn't mean you're going to get it, but get comfortable asking. Because when you're starting your own business, entrepreneurs, I love entrepreneurs, by the way. I love entrepreneurs because at the end of the day, they know that they are the ones that are responsible for whatever happens in their business. That there's no one to blame. There's no one shoulder to cry on. There's no one to commiserate with. This is It's when you decide to be an entrepreneur, you decide to rely on your own resources, your talent, your drive, your passion, your excitement, your adrenaline, whatever the heck you need. But it's a gutsy move to just even stake that claim. And, so I'd say, first of all, acknowledge yourself for that
Hmm.
and be ready to ask for the business. One of the things that I found the most difficult in starting, coaching consulting business was when I stepped out of sales, I was pretty much at the peak of my career, earning a really nice, comfortable, income. And, when you're at the top of your game and you need to step into a new game, it's hard to go. I had an expectation that I would be able to step into my new game at the same level that I left my old game.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those, and I'm not saying it's not possible, but possible for anyone, but I will tell you that it was a reality check for me.
Yep.
Because, especially in coaching and consulting, if you're the go-to for everybody they're used to your advice and your expertise freely.
Yeah. Now you got to charge them.
Now you got to charge them, and so there are different rules of the game now. But the realization was that I needed patience to realize that I had a business to build, not that I had a business that was already made. I certainly had plenty of advocates and people who believed in my ability to do it. But still, just being prepared to be a little patient with yourself. And I know that can be really hard. But be prepared to build your business. It doesn't come turnkey, and it doesn't come with a guaranteed. You may be fortunate to start out with a contract that's going to sustain you for a while. And I've certainly, known that to be true and have had some good opportunities like that. But just because it doesn't happen overnight doesn't mean you should give up.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the thing that comes to mind is I just did another interview like this yesterday with the founder of UGG Boots. And he made the analogy, and it really clicked for me. And I didn't think about this before, but once you're as an entrepreneur, it's like you're a little baby when you're starting out. You're an infant,
Yeah.
and you have to roll around on your back, and you have to grow into be a toddler, and then you go to your teenage years, and then you become an adult, and that's how you have to think about your business. Is that
Absolutely.
When you're first starting out, you're just a little baby, and even though you may have come from a corporate world and you're a big shot or whatever, you're starting something brand new, and all of that experience is going to come with you, but you're still starting over, and you can't. That's just the law of nature.
Absolutely.
You just start over.
That's one of I think, a principle in Jesus' work is that the life cycle of a business, that you're an infant when you start out, and you develop to a level of maturity, but when you hit your prime, there's also that once you're beyond your prime, there's the beginning of the decline. And so every business has a life cycle, much like every life form has its life cycle.
Yeah. I think everything in that there's a life cycle to everything. And there's just news yesterday of Jon Stewart's show ending, and that's just an example off the top of my head. But I mean, that's a natural life cycle. Something else is going to have to come in and take the place of the funny news,
Yes.
And
I love someone's going to have to work hard to top that. That's all I can say.
I know. It is what it is, and he'll find something bigger and better, or something that suits his purpose. Again, I don't doubt that. So, but it's the same cycle. So, And as I guess we're talking about cycles, we're kind of getting towards the end of things here, and I think you've offered some really cool advice, and I didn't expect the advice to hit really home with me today, so I thank you for that. So I appreciate that. So how can anybody who's watching find out more about you and your work?
Well, one of the things that you asked me is, who do I love to work with? And as I told you, I love entrepreneurs. I love the maverick spirit. And, the people that are generally attracted to me and my work in coaching and consulting are the mavericks. They're the ones who want to defy the status quo and take things to the next level. So I'm very blessed to work with some amazing entrepreneurs and, high-level professionals. They really don't believe in limits, and so I am so excited about working with people like that. And so if you're if you're whether you're starting a business or you're ready to take it from 50 million to 75 million, and you're ready to break through, my belief is that regardless of where you're at, your next breakthrough is beyond what you're comfortable with now. It's beyond what you see for yourself. It's beyond your current habits. It's beyond your current thinking. So my gift is identifying those patterns, shaking them up, breaking through them, and setting a foundation for a much higher level of subconscious as well as conscious patterns that are going to get you to the next level.
Awesome. And where can people find out more about you?
Successmatrix.com. My company is Success Matrix, so just go to www.successmatrix.com. You'll find out how to reach out to me personally or to find out more about the programs that I offer, and let's see if it's time for us to chat.
Cool. Well, I encourage everybody, if something resonated about Deb and you working, go check out her website, and she'll be able to help you out and break through. Even if you're just starting out, if you're not starting out at 50 million, even if you're just starting somewhere, I'm sure she'll be able to help you if something resonated there. So thanks again, Deb. I really appreciate you coming on today, and I hope you have an awesome day.
It's been a pleasure, Bradley. Thank you.